Okay, hello and welcome to the video. My name is Wade Smith, and in this video, I'm discussing a Magic the Gathering combo that I'm probably the first person to discover, although I haven't actually built a deck around it until just now. But this came out back in the Final Fantasy set. Um, my commander is Terra Magical Adept, and her Esper side is where the combo will come into play, as you'll see. The first line after Esper Terra reads, "As this saga enters, and after you draw your draw step, add a lore counter." So as the saga enters, now that's important because I'm going to be copying this saga, and the copies come in with a counter on them because of that rule. And then the counter, whenever there's nothing else on the stack anymore, the counter triggers the first saga ability, which says create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary enchantment you control. This Terra is also an enchantment, all right? But she's a legend, so that's a problem at first. It gains haste. If it's a saga, put up to 3 lore counters on it. Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step. So you can't keep it and pass the same turn, but that's fine. So I'll show you the Esper side of Terra if you can get enough light to see it. I don't know. It's kind of crummy. If I turn around to where there's more light, you won't be able to see it either because then there'll be too much light. Anyway, it's Esper Terra. All right. So the combo that does work, because what I did is I used Defense of the Heart to look for Spark Double and Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. The problem is that was a misplay on my part because one of them works and one of them does not work. And so I'm gonna have to tell the judge where I played that I have to forfeit the league game that I won Saturday because I made a misplay during the final combo, even though I should have won anyway because of Spark Double, and I'll get to that. All right, so Spark Double makes a copy that is not legendary. All right, so that's a replacement effect. It says so it costs 3 colorless and a blue to cast. And it says you may have Spark Double enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it if it's a creature. It enters with an additional loyalty counter on it if it is a planeswalker, and it isn't legendary. All right. So that's the word "except" makes all of that a replacement effect. All right. So this means that Spark Double can make a non-legendary copy of a legend, in other words. And then because the Spark Double enters as a copy of Esper Terra, and Esper Terra enters with a loyalty counter on it. Here, you might be able to read this if I move my fingers. All right. Because Terra enters with a loyalty counter on it, the non-legendary copy of Terra enters with a loyalty counter on it. And then when everything else gets off the stack, the loyalty triggers on the Spark Double copy of Terra. The Spark Double copy of Terra triggers the Saga ability. The Saga ability doesn't say that it can't target itself as long as it's not a legend. So you use the Saga ability for the Spark Double copy of Terra to copy Spark Double copy of Terra again. That creates a token that is a copy of Spark Double Terra. So the token enters with a loyalty counter on it as well, and then you just target the token with its own ability, creating another token, and so on. So then you end up with unlimited, but you have to stop the combo at some time. Yeah, you have to stop the combo at some time by rule. If someone creates an infinite loop, the person who controls it has to choose when it stops. All right. So what I did in the game is I created 2,000 copies of Terra, and then I attacked each player with 666 copies because the copies of the enchantment also gain haste. If and so each one is a 6/6 flyer with haste, and so the other player scooped. Now I'm gonna have to forfeit the game anyway, even though I won it, because I misplayed Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. I had Sakashima of 1,000 Faces enter as a copy of the Spark Double, which I don't think I'm allowed to because they both enter simultaneously, And at the time before they enter, Spark Double was not in the battlefield to be chosen as a target. And even if I targeted Terra with the Spark Double, I mean the Sakashima does not create a non-legendary copy. You have to read Sakashima very carefully. It says you may have Sakashima of 1,000 Faces enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control, except it has Sakashima of 1,000 Faces' other abilities. The legend rule does not apply to permanents you control, and then it has partner. But the legend rule doesn't say that it's not a legend. Removing the legend rule doesn't say that it's not a legend. It just says that the legend rule is that if you have two copies of the same legend and they are in fact both legendary, then they'd kill one another. All right. So you're only allowed to have one copy of a legend at the same time. Sakashima does not create a non-legendary copy of the original target. It's still a legend. It just gets around the legend rule. And why this doesn't create an infinite loop is because Terra Magical Adept's ability, Esper Form Terra, says that the target of the Saga ability has to be non-legendary. So, target non-legendary enchantment you control. Remember, Terra is both an enchantment and a creature, so it can target itself if it somehow becomes non-legendary. All right. Which implies there's probably another way to create an infinite loop with her. But anyway, I would have won the game anyway, except that I misplayed Sakashima. So I'm gonna have to talk to the judge of the local card shop and check to see if he's gonna make me forfeit the game or not, because I misplayed it, because that was a league game. I won 2 other friendly games by different combos in my deck. I won one game with Replenish and getting back all of Terra's Esper creating enchantments. And I won another game with Thassa's Oracle. And yes, Terra counts as a 5-color creature, 5-color commander, because her Esper form has all 5 mana color symbols on it on the back side. So, before somebody says, well, she's only got 2 mana in her cost, 3 total mana and 2 colors in her cost, that's true. But if you look at the reverse side of the card, the color identity is actually all 5 colors. And for 2-sided cards, color identity is determined by everything that's on both sides. So here's the reverse side, and you'll notice that she has all 5 colors in her color identity. So anyway, I discovered this combo as soon as the Final Fantasy set came out. I've just now gotten around to building a deck around it, because I chose to build VV Ornithir first. But VV Ornithir is so overpowered that it pisses everybody completely off. And I decided to quit playing VV Ornithir for that reason, because I was winning about 3/4 of all pods of 4 that I was playing, except against VV Ornithir or Goblins. And I could beat Goblins if I just got a lucky draw and got my own Goblin Sharpshooter out before they started their combo. I could beat the Goblins deck, but I just never got lucky enough for that to happen. But anyway, so I quit playing VV Ornithir because it's banned in Standard, and it's also banned in Brawl, I think, now. So it hasn't been banned in full-blown Commander yet, but it's probably on the list of cards to look out for. And I figure I may as well start building a different deck, because it's going to get banned eventually anyway. It's pretty bad when the only deck you lose against is either Goblin tokens or another VV Ornithir deck. So, because everybody's like, oh no, you're not playing VV again. Well, damn it, I might not even play. And then that gets old, because like, why am I playing Magic if nobody's going to play against me? All right. So Terra Magical Adept does work according to a rules guru who's been playing for the whole time Magic existed. It does work with Spark Double. It does not work with Sakashima of 1,000 Faces, even though on the surface it looks like both of them should have worked. But Sakashima's rule is slightly different, and that very subtle difference means that that it doesn't work with it. So my bad.